Hey, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Bulk Crew podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, Mario Heron, talking Charger football with you. And guys, today feels a little bit different, right? Because training camp started today. And so now we are, gas is down, and we're only going forward to the end of February, and we're figuring this whole thing out. And then, of course, we know how the circle works, where you get ready for the draft and we try again in 2025. But right now, for focusing on 2024, and Josh, as we head into training camp and the first day, and it's the first day of the veterans, the rookies have been there for a week, but as you go in and the whole team is there, do you look at it and say, you know what, we have a lot to prove? Or do you look at it as everybody's underestimating the Chargers?
There's definitely a lot to prove, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think the offensive line is going to set the tone for the offense. Obviously, Justin Herbert speaks for himself. Wide receivers have a lot to prove, but I think the defense right now, Mario, has so many question marks that's where I would focus my attention as a fan. If I was a coach on the team, I'd be focusing my attention here. Can we keep teams under 30 points, right? Because you believe Justin Herbert can will your team to at least 20, 30 points. So for me, Mario, the big question marks come from the defense.
Defense worries me a lot. Receiving core worries me a lot. I think there's a lot of questions there. I think there's a lot for the Chargers to prove, right? I think this is a new era starts now, and there's high expectations and amidst kind of low expectations as well because the talent's not all the way there. It's a little bit of a mixture of both. But I think this is the year of the Chargers change their identity. They change their culture. They change who they are. And maybe it's a start and it's a build of something to the future. I was thinking about this today, Dave. Kids that are growing up in LA or San Diego or Southern California right now, this is the start of kids grow up and they go, man, I want to play for the Chargers. Like, I want to play for Harbaugh. Like, I want to play for this team. And how many times can you really say that? I don't think a lot. So I think that culture is starting to build right now with this Harbaugh era that we have coming in. And, you know, maybe we see these next generation of kids wanting to play for the Chargers as badly as, you know, kids growing up in New York want to play for the Giants or play for the Jets.
You know, I think media market thing is always a big deal. Also, all the, you know, the glitz and glamour and the good looking celebrities that live in Southern California. I mean, you got a lot that is on your side with Charger football, right? Even, you know, Southern California sports, LA especially. But, you know, when overall looking at this franchise, and assume that Jim Harbaugh wasn't the head coach, this would be a forgotten franchise this year in 2024. When you look at this roster, yeah, you have Justin Herbert, but there aren't a lot of guys outside of Justin Herbert that the average fan would be concerned about. They look at Khalil Mack as a guy that's up in age. They look at a guy like Joey Bosa, a lot of people think is underachieved. But it would be Justin Herbert as the face of this franchise. Jim Harbaugh changes all that, right? He is the face of this franchise this year. Jim Harbaugh is the one that left a national championship team and has jumped to the NFL. He is the face. He's the reason why you're watching. What is he going to say? What is he going to do? Is there a major change? But it is different. You know, the Chargers are relevant, and we've said this on previous shows. Josh and I just got back from Denver, and we all know that Denver Bronco football is a big deal with Bronco fans, right? We see them when the Broncos are playing no matter where else, and 50% of the stadium is orange. They travel well, they support their team well, everything. Josh and I, in 2 days of being at Rockies games and walking around downtown, I mean, we were out and going, and bars and everything else, we saw one Bronco jersey the entire time, right, Josh?
Yeah, correct.
One. And you go ahead, go to Pittsburgh right now, go to Philadelphia, go to New York, go anywhere. You're going to see jerseys of people supporting those teams because we know football fans are crazy because the NFL rules. And when you sit there and you say to anybody, you could be at your work tomorrow and say to anybody, what's your team? They only answer with an NFL team. Nobody answers with anything else. You don't even need to say, what's your favorite baseball team? What's your favorite basketball team? You just go, what's your team? And they're going to sit there and tell you, it's the Steelers, it's the Cowboys. It's everybody knows that means the NFL. Yet in Denver, where they've won multiple Super Bowls and they're supposed to have this big time coach and they got the new franchise quarterback, we saw one Broncos jersey. It was right at the very end of our trip, correct? That was it.
At the very end, yeah.
And it wasn't a player that even plays on the team today. It was Russell Wilson. And for all I know, that guy might have been Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I know you're going to say that. The thing, so if Jim Harbaugh didn't come to the Chargers and they would have gone their normal way of hiring like some coordinator, right, like they've done in the past, it would be the same situation with us Charger fans. Yeah,
it'd be the Panthers.
They'd be the Panthers. The reason why Jim Harbaugh is such a big deal, and we've talked about this at length, Chargers got 2 first-round picks this year, Jim Harbaugh and Joe Alt. Jim Harbaugh is going to make such a difference in the win and loss total compared to the last few years. it's going to be monumental. And we already know this. Jim Harbaugh is going to bring the whole new coach culture. You already see the locker room today, guys posting from the Chargers. He lists, where you're from, and he loves to do that with all the players. But like Dave said, he brings a whole new attitude to this team, which we're so excited for. If they didn't bring in Jim Harbaugh, we would be the Denver Broncos, right? We'd be dreading the season. Oh my God, we still have Brandon Staley or whatever they decided to do. So I'm most excited for Jim Harbaugh more than any of the other players.
I agree. I think if they didn't get Harbaugh, if they didn't make a splash, we'd be in the Bronco era. We're like, all right, guys, what the hell are we doing? And maybe even flirting with something even more dangerous of having a franchise QB that's going, is this the best place for me to win? Like, should I look at the market for a trade? Like, that's, I think, the situation to be in. But, we got Harbaugh. Like you said, it was like we had 2 first-round picks. Mike Vrabel, shout out to him for he's thrown in there that he was the second option if we didn't get Harbaugh. So I guess that would have been great too if we got Vrabel. Don't really know why he decided to throw that in a podcast or an interview, but hey, shout out to him and all the success in the world. And I think he's going to be a Bear in a year, if I had to guess.
Yeah, he'd fit the Bears. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Vrabel would fit the Bears. All right, so we spoke about this about coaches the other day on the last show, and we're talking about guys who are motivators and guys who are coaches. And I honestly believe Jim is both. I mean, you could sit there and say Jim is as smart as any coach out there, and at the same time, you know that Jim's a motivator. If you can't play for Jim Harbaugh, you can't play in the NFL. Is the way I look at it. And this is from watching from afar, watching him what he did with the Niners, watching what he did at Stanford, watching what he did at University of San Diego and Michigan. This is always what he's done. He's had success. As goofy as Dan Campbell was when he got the job, talked about biting kneecaps and all that stuff. For guys my age, and I know this isn't the way, kids are raised today, and I'm not saying it was better back then, but Mario, it used to be we'd go to a school to play a game, and we were going to beat you on the field. And guess what? If we didn't beat you on the field, we literally would fight you in the parking lot. Like we would say, we're going to beat you on the field or beat you in the parking lot. Like it was so dumb. I'll be honest with you. When you look back at it, they go, dude, they got the better of us. Why are we fighting these guys in the parking lot? But we did. Jim Harbaugh's that guy. Like, dude, we're going to beat you on that field. And if we don't beat you on that field, we're going to beat you before we get on the bus. And we're going to take you out in the parking lot. I kind of dig that attitude. As crazy as it sounds, it's a physical sport. You got to have it up here, but you also have to have it physically as well. And that's why we love football, right? I mean, there's a lot of rules that stuff you can't do, but as guys who don't get hit when you're sitting on your couch, you love all those crazy hits. We miss those hits. It's frowned upon because people were dropping dead at 44 years old when they would retire. But at the same time, that's what got us into football. Is like this is crazy. It was like being at the Coliseum back in Rome. This is what you watch for. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's see the hits. And we dig it. We like guys being physical. And so Jim is a guy that's going to bring physical football. And man, I'm here in the front row like the rest of you guys. I'm excited about it. And I know the season record-wise might not equal what we all won at the end of this one year, but this is a path, as we have stated over and over again, to step one of getting where we need to be, and that's winning a Super Bowl trophy.
Do you read into the storylines that go into, the offseason? We talked about how you'd kind of take it with a grain of salt because people are just trying to get clicks. There's not really much going on, so they make up rankings and stories. You don't know if they're completely true. But when a verified source, Daniel Popper of The Athletic, comes out and says an 11 personnel, Quentin Johnston is not on the field. He's a number 4 receiver behind Josh Palmer. I'm drawing a complete blank. Josh Palmer, Ladd McConkey, and DJ Chark. That's crazy. The guy that was drafted in the first round last year, who was supposed to be an immediate impact guy like every other first-round pick, is your number 4 receiver in a receiving core, Mario, that's just not very good to begin with. How concerning is that? Do you think there's any way that Quentin Johnston doesn't make this team?
I see him making the roster. I see him being on the team. I don't think he's in danger of getting cut. But I think he's in danger of being having a role on this offense. I think that's the danger. I don't think it's in the realm of possibilities at the current moment. I think he's going to need a really good camp. I think he's going to need a really good preseason. I think he's going to need a really good year. We thought that before this whole time, right? That he's going to need a really, really big year in order to be a Charger uniform beyond 2024. Now it seems like the pressure's even building, and now he even has to work for those opportunities, Dave, to get onto the field to show what he can do. This camp's the most important camp in his career. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised he's receiver number 4 right now. I mean, 38 receptions for 431 yards and two touchdowns last year. Like only 2 touchdowns with Justin Herbert throwing you the ball. I know he got hurt later on, but still, I mean, that's insane. So I'm surprised, but not that surprised, Dave, because he's gonna have very little effect on the Chargers this year.
Man, I hope we're all wrong, but right now signs aren't pointing to that we're wrong. I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of people that just because he wears the uniform, you guys are huge fans of his. Look, we'd love to see him be the player that, the Chargers are hoping he would be. Right now, outside of Quentin Johnston, there's no one that's involved with the Chargers more that wants to see him do well than John Spanos, because talk is John Spanos had a lot to do with getting him in a Charger uniform. So for the people who want to recap, Mario just gave you the stats. He was chosen pick number 21. At number 22, Zay Flowers was taken. 77 receptions, 858 yards, 5 TDs. At 23, Jordan Addison was taken. 70 receptions, 911 yards, 2 TDs. And with the 177th pick in the 5th round, shares the stadium, Puka Nacua, 105 receptions, 6 touchdowns. So Quentin Johnston was 38 receptions, his 431 yards. The talk that he's not basically going to be a 1, 2, or 3 is not a good sign. All right. Doesn't seem like the Chargers are seeing a big difference, even though you have a new head coach who has nothing on his mind except winning. If he thinks Quentin Johnston was that guy, he would be a 1 or 2. And let's be honest, the guys that are afraid of playing in front of Quentin Johnston aren't on pace to make the Pro Bowl. So, I mean, what the hell, right? I mean, that's the frustrating thing is, did they just swing and miss that bad? Is that why there's so many guys that were at the Chargers a year ago that are now unemployed in the front office and on the sideline because of this move? Did Quentin Johnston cost these guys their jobs? This is a bad decision. It's to the point where, guys, I feel like it's not even his fault. Like, dude, you guys chose me. I didn't choose you. I didn't tell you guys to choose me. You chose me. So, I mean, this is right back on the Chargers front office of yesteryear on this mistake. And if he turns it around, fantastic. But, man, there have been no signs to show he's about to turn this thing around.
I think Quentin Johnston is a huge reason of why we have a new coach, why we have a new GM, why we have a new culture being brought to the Chargers. So you can thank Quentin Johnston for that if you want to go that direction. But if you look at
John Spanos is playing Nintendo Wii in his office.
Yeah, he's playing. John Spanos is playing Nintendo Wii because Quentin Johnston didn't have a good rookie season. That's a quote for you. So if you look at the Chargers, receiving core, you have a guy that does everything, right? And this is like every team in the NFL, every team everywhere. Like Ladd McConkey is going to be that third down guy. He's going to give you short yards. He's going to be the guy that gets the crap beaten out of him running over the middle, right? We need that guy. Keenan Allen was that guy.
Yeah.
Then you have Josh Palmer, who's the most well-rounded receiver on the team, right? He is the number 1 receiver going into the season. If he stays healthy, he might have a really good season. I think Josh Palmer's shown flashes that he can be really good. The concerning part, Mario, is they brought in DJ Chark, right? DJ Chark is very similar in size to Quentin Johnston, but he's already moved past Quentin Johnston from what we've heard, if the reports are true. What does Quentin Johnston do well? Does he go down the field, get the jump balls like Mike Williams, bring it over like Moss people? He doesn't do that. Is he the short yardage receiver? He's not that. Is he a well-rounded receiver? At this point in his career, he's not. So the concerning thing about Quentin Johnston is he doesn't do anything very well. And if he doesn't have a good season this year, Mario, and if you're the number 4, I mean, how good of a season can you really have? It might be his last with the Chargers. And that's fine by me. Like Dave said, Tom Telesco and John Spanos are the ones that chose him. So it's not going to hurt my feelings. It just sucks. Like Dave said, Zay Flowers was the next pick, and Jordan Addison was right after that. And you saw what they did last year.
That part stinks. And I think the other thing that doesn't go to your point about Quinn, like the guys that drafted him, the guys that, quote unquote, believed in him aren't there. And that's a whole nother hurdle he has to get over, right? Like the time's a ticking for him. And the guys that make the big decisions are like, hey, we're pretty fine on moving on from you. And, we're pretty high on Brendan Rice getting drafted. Like he's right behind Quentin Johnston. Like, who's to say that he doesn't have a really big camp? Then what happens at QJ? You know what I'm saying? Like, big decision there. That's a guy that, he's a Harbaugh and Joe product. He is, Quinn's not that. I feel bad almost because I'm a firm believer that every player should get 2 years to really show what they are. I think rookie year can be really spewed. It can be really hard, difficult things to overcome, yada, yada, yada. You can name it, just throw it in there. But at the same time, when you have new people come in, they want their people in there. And so let's face it, Dave, Quentin Johnston's not a Harbaugh guy. So we'll see what happens.
Again, it's funny you guys brought up the fact that people that believed in him are no longer there. So he now needs to really prove himself to the new guys and say why he deserves this. But I don't know how often he's in the facility. I mean, you've heard things about him, months ago that he's putting in an extra time, and whether that's the playbook or that's, let's be honest, the rap on him was he doesn't catch balls with his hands, he catches balls with his body. And so we saw it. And when there's an important situation, he tried to go back to what he was comfortable with, and that's catching the ball with his body, which in the NFL, it doesn't fly. And so I don't know what he's going to be. I mean, when you watch that TV show Receivers and you're seeing St. Brown, who's catching, 201 balls off the jugs machine after everybody leaves every single day, that's why I feel Quentin Johnston needs to be. Like we made a joke about it one time, I think, on the show, that he should have one in every room in his house. As soon as he just walks in and gets a football shot at him. But
just wakes up.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Look, I'll tell you right now, for anyone who thinks we're just ripping on this kid, we want to see the Chargers win. But I'll tell you, all three of us are rooting for him. It might not sound like it. I know I'm rooting for him. There's nothing I'd like more to say, man, that guy proved everybody wrong. Because otherwise, you lost a first-round pick. It's one thing to lose a first-round pick by trading that pick away and getting something in return. But to lose a first-round pick as a bust and then get nothing in return for it except embarrassment, get egg on your face, that's the worst thing that can happen to you in the NFL. And for the Chargers to be in that situation, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of NFL teams that have done this exact same thing, and it's always the wide receiver position where they swing and miss.
I think you made a great point a few minutes ago when you said maybe he was drafted too high. If Quentin Johnston was drafted 10 picks later, he would have been a second-round pick, and we wouldn't be making this big of a deal about it, right? Second-round picks don't have the same expectations as a first-round pick. Everybody knows if you're the first-round pick, you better be good like today.
You better be a starter.
You better be a starter, and you better be productive. Everybody throws that video around of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Quentin Johnston working out together. Okay. First off, Quentin Johnston, buddy, don't work out with him. Like, why would you do that? And why would you let anybody record that? You could see by the video that it's not even close, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. is the #1 receiver in the class for a reason. But then you think, well, Quentin Johnston was a first-round pick too. The Chargers scouting department let them down, right? He shouldn't have been a first-round pick. If you read his report last year, Dave went over it, says he catches with his body, routes aren't clean. Basically, there's a lot of question marks in his game. If there's a lot of question marks in their game, why would you draft him in the first round? I think he was drafted too high. Obviously, now we know that. And the expectations weren't realistic. Quentin Johnston could maybe play for a different team in a few years. I just don't think at this point, if he has confidence after his second year, he would be staying around. Mario said he has to prove himself, right, to the new regime. So if he can't do that after this year, maybe it's best to get rid of him and give him a fresh start somewhere else.
And that could be like the best thing for him. Like that really could be like going to somewhere new. Like that could be fantastic. Maybe he does need to go to, list a team. Maybe he needs to go to Arizona Cardinals. Like maybe that can be great for him. Maybe a different offensive system would be fantastic for him. Who knows? But all signs are pointing towards that it's not going to be a good fit here. And it's not looking good for him. It's like 70-30, not looking good. And, we'll see. And Josh, you're kind of on top of it from the get-go. I mean, I remember when he was drafted and we were on with Baldinger and Lockenfora, and your face is like, yeah, I just don't think that's a good pick. And everyone else was we were all trying to like find the biggest positives for it. Because it's like you don't really want to rag on a pick because, eventually it could look bad on you. And then, if I had to go back in time, I should have jumped in with you. But yeah, guy sucks, like you get ahead of the take and be right on it. But I ended up handing out and being pretty right. Not saying he couldn't not suck too. He doesn't suck. He's a fine player, just not good for the Chargers.
There you go. Hey, I want to remind everyone at this time, please subscribe and like the show. You guys are going to have to read it because I can't see, but it's a Young West threw $5 in for a question or comment.
Yeah, I can read it. It says,
okay.
After that Quentin Johnston pick, Chargers should just put their top 4 prospects in a poll for the fans to pick on every first rounder going forward. Laugh out loud. Dude, if you were to do that, we'd end up with a skill player every single year because no fan wants to see them draft a defensive lineman or a tackle or a guard. But I agree with you, man. Like Mario
would have
was talking
neighbors
about
on the team this year.
We would have had
neighbors on the team.
100%. Yeah. We would have had Malik Neighbors. But I think Mario makes a great point. Like, I feel like these GMs try to be so different, right? They're going to get that one guy that's going to make the difference, that make them look smart. Well, maybe the guy that's the pick is right in front of your face. And that was Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison And I know I'm saying it now like I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I said it last year. Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison were the picks. And I think it's a huge reason why Tom Telesco lost his job.
You're absolutely right. You're right. We've seen GMs do that before. Bobby Beathard seemed like he chased that one guy. He found a pot of gold one time with Washington when he found the Darryl Green. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like he was looking for the next Darryl Green forever, and he can never catch that guy. Couldn't catch lightning twice. Rumors, though, the Chargers are looking to help their defense out a little bit. Josh and I were talking about this before the show even started. We're saying, where do you think the Chargers stand? And we're like, dude, they have a bottom 3 defense right now in the NFL. So they're looking for more help. We talk about the pass rush, and we like what they've done there. There's a name that is surfacing, and I'm sure Charger fans have seen the rumors already. But a guy who graduated college with Josh, literally was in the same line with Josh when he got his diploma, Jonathan Allen from Washington. The rumors are that he's coming to Los Angeles, that he could be a Charger. Any interest in Jonathan Allen, Josh?
Absolutely. So when I was at Alabama, there's freaks everywhere, right? Because top players in the country, but there's 3 guys on the defense, Mario, that stood out above everybody else. They're just on a different level, men amongst boys, right? Reuben Foster, for anybody that remembers Reuben Foster, number 10, middle linebacker at Alabama, he was a freak, a heat-seeking missile that was going to take your head off. He had issues off the field that led to him not producing on the field like he should have, but Reuben Foster is a freak. There's also Minkah Fitzpatrick. We all know Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best safeties in the NFL. He was just different, Mario. And then third, Jonathan Allen, number 93. If you want to see a freakish play, look up the sack that he had against Texas A&M, where he jumps over the guy and tackles the quarterback. He is a freak of nature, a leader through and through, a guy that you want on your team. He's a Pro Bowler, 2-time Pro Bowler for the Washington Commanders, and their defense stinks. They need to reload. They need to fix that team. The reason why I think the Chargers should consider this, and the talk, Mario, is the 3rd-round pick for Jonathan Allen, is because you would be mirroring your defense with what you're doing with your offense, right? The offensive line is where you're starting that offense, and you're building out from there. Defense, if we can get a guy like Jonathan Allen in the middle and kind of build out from there with the linebackers with Junior Colson and Dan Henley and guys like that, I think it's a good move. I think a 3rd-round pick is definitely worthy of Jonathan Allen's talent. He's a guy that would help the Chargers immediately, and he'd be a leader on that defense.
He would be ranked 52 in the top 100 players in the NFL, back-to-back Pro Bowl appearances, 7.5 sacks in 2022, 5.5 in 2023. This is a guy that's been pretty out there in saying that he's not happy in Washington, right? He had kind of that freak out in the locker room. And then on December 4th, he went on Sports Junkies. For people that don't know, it's like a Odyssey show in Washington. It's their biggest show. And he said, they asked him if he ever thought about leaving the Commanders, and he literally said, not 100%, 1,000%. So add a 0. Obviously, I was on December 4th, and since then, he's been pretty forthcoming. Right now, even saying that the culture's different over there, Commanders, and it's everything's looking on the way up with Dan Quinn. But we also know he wants to win, and he's said it multiple times. Winning's important to him. He is 29 years old, and as a D tackle, that father time is knocking on your door. Not with your DoorDash either, buddy. It's coming for you. So it'd be a smart move. I think the Chargers would work. You don't have to extend him when you get him. He has some time left on his contract. He can play, I believe, through 2025 season. He'd be on the Chargers books. It'd be a 2-year rental. Josh, you said around a 3rd-round pick. I think it's worth it to do that. And I think it would take the defensive line unit for the Chargers probably to easily top 10 in the NFL if you add him. And that front would be an absolute monster. So for that price, I think it's worth it. You got him on a not bad contract, Dave. I say why not? I do know you're getting older when you're trying to get younger a little bit, but what the hell is he going to do over there in Washington?
Dude, he's younger than Khalil Mack, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we talk about forget that. I'm not even worried about getting younger at this point. I'm saying you look at that position there and you look at, I'm not going to say he's Aaron Donald, all right? I'm not crazy. But what I'm going to say is if you look at the disruptive force of having him in the middle with the guys that you already have as your pass rushers on the outside, we know our cornerbacks stink. We need to sit there and put as much pressure on the quarterback as fast as we can to help those guys out because those guys have no chance of hanging with the big-time wide receivers after 2.5 seconds, right? We need to put pressure. And so to have a disruptive force in the middle, along with the guys you have on the outside, it's just going to make Khalil Mack's numbers look better and Joey Bosa's numbers look better. I think it's the right move. A third round pick is nothing right now. I mean, let's look at what we have and look at the age that we have on the guys that we think that can get to the quarterback. Throw Jonathan Allen in there. And Maury, I'm not going to lie. When Josh was graduating, I think I was just as loud for Jonathan Allen getting his diploma as I was for Josh. I was, and my wife's like, "What are you doing? Like, his family is down there. What are you doing screaming?" I love that guy. Like, as Josh said, look at some of the games he's had. Go back, look at the Ole Miss game while he was at Alabama. YouTube anything Jonathan Allen and go, this guy is really good. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you get drafted by a crappy team. And Jonathan Allen with Washington has been in a bad situation from day one. Right? If Jonathan Allen was on a better team, Jonathan Allen might be looking at a Hall of Fame career. But he's been in hell, man. He's been in NFL hell with Washington. Bring him to Los Angeles. Let's shake things up. I couldn't agree more with Josh. It's a mirror of what you're trying to do on offense.
I think what the Rams did when they brought in veterans that were hungry for a championship, and it worked out. They won the Super Bowl. If the Chargers could bring in a veteran like Jonathan Allen, who has the funniest post-game moments, he's like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, this team sucks. Like, it's the fun. He has the funniest post-game moments. He never really lost at Alabama. In high school, he never lost. This guy has been great everywhere he's been. Why not bring in a veteran that's pissed off, that has something to prove, that's a leader, right? When I tell you that this guy could lead everybody on the defense as a defensive lineman, he did. When he was at Alabama, he was the guy people looked to. He led by example. He was awesome on the field. He's awesome off the field. He has comes from a military background. I believe his dad's in the military. He's a guy that you want on your team, and he's the veteran presence that the Chargers desperately need. I love Derwin James. Derwin James is my favorite player in the Chargers defense. He's in the back of the defense. You know, there's a difference when you have a guy in the front of the defense that's leading by example, that's barking at guys, compared to the guy that's in the back of the defense. So I think Jonathan Allen is definitely a guy you consider, Mario. I think a third-round pick, it's worth the price. 29 years old, it's a little bit old, but like I said, he has a lot to prove. And look at Montez Sweat, right? He was on the defensive line with Jonathan Allen and the Commanders. When he went over to the Bears, he made a huge impact. I think he could have a similar impact with the Chargers. And right now, their defensive line is a huge question mark, right? Can we even stop the run at this point? I don't know. So Jonathan Allen would help tremendously.
I'm for it. Also, watch out for Montez Sweat this year, because I was reading a bunch of stuff on him today. Holy hell. Apparently, he looks like Superman in camp. With Jonathan Allen, it's also on the Washington side. Don't you kind of like owe this to him? Like, hasn't he suffered enough? Like, you're really going to put him through this right now? Like, you let him go through this little, like, tiny rebuild you're doing, and he, like, shipped away all of his friends? Like, see ya, Chase Young. See ya, Montez Sweat. All right, thanks, guys. I'll hold the party down. I'll hold the fort down while, we fart away on our season. The move would be smart. I think he'd be, like you said, like his leadership and his mentality. He'd be a great Harbaugh guy. I think he'd be great for that system, like right away. The other teams you'd have to compete with, obviously, Green Bay is apparently in that race. I saw Patriots was like a rumor, but Patriots doesn't make sense just based off of Sage. And like, I think he would look at the Commanders going, seriously, after everything, you're saying me that New England. How about you, punch me in the face first? He didn't say that, but you get what I mean. Yeah. I think Commanders would be the Chargers would be a viable option for him. I'm trying to think of other teams, Dave, that could kind of hop in and maybe take away from that. And I also could see the Commanders going, we want to trade outside of the NFC. I think AFC is a safer option for him, because the last thing you want is a little revenge.
I agree. I mean, if I'm Washington, I'm looking at the Patriots and Chargers. If those are the options that you mentioned, I wouldn't trade him to the Packers. I think you're crazy to trade him to a team that's in the NFC. At the same time, if you're upset with him as some of the comments he's made after games, and you send him to hell. You send him to the Patriots, right? It's going to take forever to do anything there. It's a worse situation. But for the Chargers, I'll throw a trade at you. Would Washington take Quentin Johnston for Jonathan Allen? They probably would.
Oh my God, how do you not do that if you're the Chargers?
They probably would. They could explain to the fans this guy was a wide. No, you trade Quentin Johnston, your wide receiver that was drafted in the first round, for Jonathan Allen, who's 29 years old.
You have the picks in there, though, right?
I don't think you do. I think the Commanders can justify that to their fan base, because we got a guy in our early 20s for a guy who doesn't want to be here, who's 29 years old.
Commanders did sign Michael Davis and Austin Eckler. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
they can't
love
judge talent for crap.
Chargers that don't produce.
I don't think
that with a straight face. Sorry.
I don't think they would. We'd have to throw something more. I don't think QJ would get it done for that. They'd have, because they also think about this too, that they're under new ownership. But new ownership likes a splash. Quinn Johnston's not a splash. Like, they want to go cannonball in that
third round pick isn't a splash, right?
It's not a splash, but it's something. I mean, something better than, hey, here's a failed first round pick so far. Have fun with them.
No, you got to
You don't
sell
say
it.
it like
You got to
that.
dress it
Don't you know how
up.
to
Yeah.
bargain? Yeah. Who bargains like that? You turn your car in for another car and go, hey, here's this hunk of junk. Thanks for the new one. Come on.
Oh,
You try and get the
you
most
have
for
to
it. You
add.
talk them up.
I think you have to add. I would even throw the third in there with him. You'd add. I'd add more than that.
Why?
Or
They aren't
would-
asking for you to throw a third in with them.
I guarantee you they would ask.
Jesus. No way.
Because it
All
also
right, I
asks
tell you
you
what,
why you let
either
him
way, I
go.
would trade the third for him. Dude,
Yeah.
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and he's 29 years old. I think Washington would be lucky to get a 3. I think if you're the Chargers, you need it. You aren't going to get a cornerback or anyone else that's going to help you out back there. I mean, we're looking at Stephon Gilmore still, right? When we're looking at guys like that are we like, can this guy have anything left in the tank? You got to put some pressure on this quarterback.
You have to. You have to,
Yeah,
especially in our division with Mahomes. You got to make it hard on him somehow.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, I find it fascinating. Wouldn't surprise me. I would love it. Honestly, I would absolutely love it if that's a decision they made. I mean, how many times have we gotten excited about the Chargers defense as far as being able to hold guys in crucial situations? I think it's important to have that line, especially if that's what you can see what Jim's been trying to do. All right, I got to move on to this because we're getting killed on questions on this and people want to know. Josh brought this up to me before the show started as well. Did you see where Justin Herbert's ranked? And a lot of people are asking us the same question in the chat. Are you seeing where Justin Herbert was ranked? Josh, I'll let you break it down.
Justin Herbert is ranked number 75 in the top 100. Fans are pissed. You know, people are out. Saw a couple guys fighting at Target earlier over this. People are mad where Justin Herbert's ranked. Okay, so if you really wanted to go the top players in the NFL, quarterbacks would be the top spots. They're the only guys on the field that touch the ball every single play. They're the most important player on the team. And Justin Herbert is clearly higher than 75. Justin Herbert, to me, is the top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So him being number 75 is a reflection of a few things, Mario. 1, he got hurt last year. He didn't play the full season. 2, his coach stunk. His offensive line stunk. And 3, he hasn't won. Okay, so when Charger fans get upset about Justin Herbert being number 75, you got to remember that people look at wins and losses as a quarterback stat, whether you agree with it or not. So Justin Herbert being number 75 is a placeholder for where he's going to be in the top, I believe in the top 20 next season when the Chargers win. To me, I really don't care, Mario. It's like Madden ratings. Doesn't mean anything to me. The fact that his own players, fellow players ranked him number 75 is a little discerning, but he was hurt last year. He didn't play the full season.
I've said it multiple times, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. But I'm going to say it again. How many times has he won a game? Game-winning drive. I know but in players, it's everlasting thought. In coaches, it's their everlasting thought. In executives, it's their everlasting thought. If you want him ranked higher, that's how you do it. You got to win. You got to win in clutch time. And that's the reason why he's there right now. And, he's also hurt last year, so there's a little bit of forgetting of how great he was. And also, the Chargers had the 5th pick last year, and then just pull out a hat and go, oh, they had the 5th pick. How the hell did we get that? No, it's because they blew. They're terrible. It's because they're one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. That's how they got the 5th pick. When your team has one of the worst records in the NFL, everyone gets affected. Watch any NFL show. They all say it doesn't matter how a good year. We weren't very good. Everyone gets dinged for it. Herbert got dinged for it. It's how it happens every single time.
You're right. That's the way it is. I mean, this is the report card you earned. But in all honesty, if there was an open draft for every NFL player in the league and every team picked, Herbert's not going 75, right? I mean, he's a quarterback. He's a guy. There's a reason why he makes so much money. He's one of the best in the league. I mean, let's be honest. Where would all the quarterbacks be drafted? To be drafted right at the top, because that's how important that position is. You need a franchise quarterback. The Chargers have one. If I was Justin Herbert, I would honestly brush that right off and just go, I'm 75 now. Let's see where I end up. As Josh is, he'll probably end up in the top 20 if the Chargers do well. It's one of those where the players might care, maybe they don't. Justin Herbert doesn't strike me as a guy that honestly cares. Maybe he should. Maybe it's funny. Jim Harbaugh, I think, would care. Like if it was him, he'd use it as motivation, right? I don't know if Justin Herbert has that mentality to be that way, but the reason he's 75 is because the team stunk last year. Mario's absolutely right. But if there was an open draft where every guy was on the table and all 32 teams got to pick today, Justin Herbert's not the 75th pick in the draft. Justin Herbert's going right at the top.
Yeah, definitely. And also, Derwin James was ranked number 83. Do we really think Derwin James is the 83rd best player in the NFL? Definitely not. I think Derwin James has a lot to prove this year to his fellow players, but also to this coaching staff that he is the leader of the defense. Derwin James, to me, can do everything on the field. Stop getting penalties for knocking guys' heads off. The unsportsmanlike penalties are super annoying, especially when they're self-induced and you know it's a big issue. Do you remember when he killed the guy in Indianapolis, Mario? He got ejected.
Yeah.
You do that once and you're like, you know what, I'm going to try not to do that again. But it seems like he hasn't fixed that problem. Hopefully this year he does fix the problem, because Derwin James is a guy you need on this field, especially for a defense that has this many question marks. But same thing for me. Ranked number 83 doesn't mean much to me. He's probably really pissed off today because that's his fellow players that voted him there. But Derwin James obviously is higher than 83.
I second that. He's obviously higher. And again, another guy, we'll see. You got added, gets dinged for the bad year and dinged for being in a completely terrible defense, ran by an absolute moron. You know, it all comes trickling down. If you guys had to guess who has a better year, Derwin James or Justin Herbert, which one would you pick?
Derwin
That's
James.
hard. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard because obviously two different sides of the ball, two different things.
Herbert's number's going to be down.
What,
I'm telling you, he's going to win more,
Yeah,
but his number's going to be down. He's going to be handing the ball off a lot.
okay, here's funny. Here's the difference to me on those two things. Number one is I think Derwin James is more upset about that number than Justin Herbert is. You know, I think when you play a physical position like Derwin James, and Derwin James, I think, prides himself in being smart and ability to play multiple positions and understanding what's happening. I think Derwin James, my guess, guys, is he's blaming that number 100% on last year's coaching staff. They put him in positions to fail. And we know it. We know what kind of player Derwin James is. He knows what kind of player he is. He was not in a position to succeed. They literally were asking him to do like 3 things at once on every play. It was he was in a no-win situation. If you were to ask me before that number came out, Josh, on where he'd be ranked, I would have said he's not ranked. I don't think Derwin James had a top 100 type of year last year, by numbers wise. Watching every single game, I'm like, this poor guy does not get a chance to show how good he is because they're putting him in a position to fail. They're asking him to do too many things that aren't beneficial to what he does to help our team win. 1, 2 is to make him look good on a football field. If you look at it, you look like Derwin James is a guy that is not a top 100 player. But in my opinion, Derwin James is one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. You know, his big thing for me was, can you stay healthy? Well, stayed healthy. We had coaches that didn't know how to use him, and unfortunately used him in a way that really made him look like he wasn't a very good football player.
If his name wasn't Derwin James, he wouldn't be in the top 100. That's just
exactly right.
Derwin James is a guy to me that's so big and so physical. You want him more in the box or closer to the ball. When Derwin James is in the back, it doesn't make much of an impact compared to how hard he hits guys and how well he plays on the ball. I would like to see him do more of that this year. Remember his rookie season when he would get those sacks on the quarterback, and you're like, dude, that's our safety. How many guys can do what he does on the field? Not many. So I'm looking for Derwin to have a huge season this year. He was asked about the coaching staff last year, and in the most professional way, he pretty much said, I wasn't in a position to succeed. He basically said that, but in a very nice way. I'm looking for this defense to utilize him in the correct way. And like I said, I'd like to see him in the box closer to the football.
I second that. And when he was making sacks all the way from the safety, I just like to throw in that at that time when I was playing Madden, he would absolutely dunk on my player. I mean, absolutely nuts on my freaking forehead. He'd have like 4 sacks and 2 picks, and like it would make me so frustrated. That's a little just carrot on top for the people back home. Just want to throw that in there. But I broke a controller over that. I was really mad. I was like, dude, this is infuriating.
All right, when Derwin James broke into the NFL, good God.
Good pivot.
You know what's funny?
I was very interested.
You know what's funny, Mario? I sit there and we do this show, and I'm looking at you guys in these squares, and I'm like, Mario's the one guy on the show whose family members actually listen to this stupid thing and watch this show. And yet you say stuff that I'm like, how are you going to explain that? And so like, how are you going to explain that forehead line a second ago? That's what I want to know. I want to know what calls come in and what happened to you.
This grandma's birthday, so happy birthday, grandma. So that's gonna be the first.
Oh my
call.
Gosh!
So
oh my gosh!
her. She's like 90, I think. I don't know, pushing it.
I will say this about Derwin James. He was worth going to the games in person because the cameras didn't pick out what Derwin James did if you watched it on television. But if you went to a Charger game in person, you'd sit there and you'd realize how great he was. I remember turning to the person next to me who was working for a different media outlet, and I said, "This guy's going to win a Defensive Player of the Year one year." I mean, he was that good. Like, it felt like he was in the huddle with the other team before the ball was snapped. He was just really, really outstanding compared to everyone else on the field. And then unfortunately he had injuries. And then last year was unfortunately again a wasted season for Derwin James's talent. They really set him up in a bad position.
Yeah. Do you think there's anybody else on the team besides Khalil Mack that get ranked in this top 100?
I bet Bosa still gets a nod.
Slater.
Yeah, he was hurt a little bit. He's
Quentin
definitely a
Johnston.
top 100 guy.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
I didn't hear what he said. I missed it.
Quentin
All I know
Johnston.
is Mark. Yeah, I tell you what,
Keenan Allen.
does it matter?
Keenan Allen's gonna be ranked high because of the season he had last year, just not on the Chargers.
Yeah. Does this? Let me ask you. Does it matter to you guys as a Charger fan? Does it matter to you how many guys are ranked or not ranked? I mean, what do we have? 7 a few years ago.
8.
8.
Led to nothing.
Yeah, led to nothing.
Yeah. That was okay. Someone commented this. I like to point this out because I think it's a very good point. I feel better though when hype isn't there going into a season than when hype is there, if that makes sense. Just because historically when the hype's there, it's a fart.
You like to shock the world? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think shocking the world's better than letting the whole world down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I got you.
Yeah, thought there was more there.
All right. So on the side here, I see people are saying the same thing. Keenan Allen's going to be in. Bosa should be in. A lot of people I think are basically saying the same thing. What we said. I mean, look, we can sit there and tell you how great everything was, but when you're picking 5 overall, like Mario said, it wasn't great. I mean, this is our report card. This is what happens, right? You fail every single test and you miss a lot of days of school. This is what happens. You get what you earn, right? It's their fault and no big deal. I honestly don't care. As we said, 8 guys a few years ago and it led to nothing. Oh, well, if those guys get fired up, I can see almost any guy on the team would get fired up about the ranking, except I agree with Josh. I don't think Justin Herbert, I don't think he cares at all. I think it's all a matter of, dude, I got to play. I got to basically move the ball downfield, not turn the ball over, and make sure that we're in a position to win games. I think that's 100% it. I think Jim Harbaugh understands that, by the way. That's why I think you hear him talking him up all the time, because he understands what kind of team player he has in Justin Herbert.
Yeah, and I think Jim Harbaugh likes that there's not a lot of guys in the top 100. He likes taking the side of let's prove it. Let's prove how good we are. And Joe Alt, right, could be a guy that could be in the top 100 next year if he's as good as people say at right tackle. So I'm excited for these guys to prove it this year. I'm trying to think of top 100 guys on other teams within the division, right? You expect the Raiders to have 3 guys, Christian Wilkins, Devontae Adams, and Max Crosby. You expect the Chiefs to have Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Bolton, Nick Bolton, the linebacker should be in there. Broncos have 1 guy. I mean, every team is in the 3-4 range, right? So Chargers aren't way off of every other team within the division.
True.
Do you guys think, by the way, that Keenan Allen, going back to him, do you think he has statistically his worst year like the past 4 years this season? Because I think that's a given, right?
Keenan?
Yeah, just like production-wise, like he's just not going to get it.
Okay, why do you?
Be fine. Yeah,
yeah. Why do you think he's the best receiver to have if you're a rookie quarterback? Like, remember when Justin Herbert came in the league and Keenan Allen was like his best friend from the get-go? Like, dude, if you need to get somebody the ball, I'm gonna get open. I think he's gonna be that guy for Caleb Williams. I don't know where he ranks compared to DJ Moore. I'm curious what you think. Do you think Keenan Allen is definitely the number 2 with the Bears? Because coming off of last season, he could be the number 1, but I know DJ Moore is also great.
I think the one.
I think more. I think. I don't know. I think Moore's the one.
The one.
But the only reason why I say that too, though, is there's a huge connection between Williams and Duze. That's been like highly reported, and like they're very, really tight, and apparently it translates to the field. So I didn't know if that will lead to Allen's touches getting like almost cut. Moore will obviously be the deep ball. Duze will probably be somewhere around there, but like I don't know, third and Keenan's still going to be a thing for Chicago. But that was something I was playing with. That was a food for thought day while I was cooking meals.
Okay, over under right here. Keenan Allen 100 receptions or no?
No.
Under.
I say yes. You say under. I go over. I say over, man. I think Caleb Williams is going to have to learn that, hey, you know what? That's the one place that's going to be open for me. At all times, Keenan's the guy that's going to be the guy that runs the routes, going to be open. Weather's not always going to be great as it gets colder. He's the guy that's going to be in the right place at the right time. It's the safest move for me to find Keenan Allen. I also remember this. Even though he's getting along with Rome, dude, he's a rookie, right? I mean, you still got to sit there and look on the sideline and during the week and look at Keenan Allen, explain why you aren't getting the ball to a veteran. He's getting the ball. That's just my feeling. And I tell you what, is crazy as this is, because I get vindictive when guys turn their back on me or the team that I like, and I root nothing but the worst for them. I'm rooting for Keenan Allen. I have nothing bad about Keenan Allen. Am I disappointed he's not a Charger? Absolutely, I am. But I understood exactly what had to happen right there.
I'm 100% rooting for Keenan Allen, my favorite Charger of this era. I'm not rooting for Drew Tranquil, right? Because he takes every shot that he can at the Chargers. Yeah. Keenan Allen, he's going to be remembered as a Charger no matter how he does with the Bears. Drew Tranquil, I hope the worst for Drew Tranquil. I hope he has a horrible season. I hope he sucks. But Keenan Allen, I'm rooting for him. He's not even in the same conference as us. And I think Dave makes a great point about Rome Odunze. He's awesome, right? I don't know if you guys saw when he got drafted, they brought up the receiver for the Bears that had the most rookie yards. He's like, what? He's like, what? Are you serious? But when you have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore on the team, dude, they're going to get the ball. If you've seen the receiver show with Devontae Adams, he's going to be getting a lot of that from DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. So I think Keenan Allen's going to have a good season. I don't know if he has 1,000 yards. I think DJ Moore is the one that ends up with 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to better you than Mike Williams, though. If I had to guess.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he's still going to struggle. But
okay, Mike Williams is a guy I'm not rooting for. How's that?
Really? Why? I'm rooting for him.
Dude, best ability is availability. Goes unavailable all the time. And I tell you what, if Mike Williams makes it through 17 games, I'm going to be very angry. How's that? It's like, come on, Mike. Who are we kidding? They should have drafted Christian McCaffrey, but instead they drafted Mike Williams ahead of him. I mean, where would this franchise be if you would have McCaffrey instead of Mike Williams?
Is he really on the PUP list? Is this guy making a joke? I can't even read your name.
Is Mike Williams on the PUP list?
Is that true? Is he already on there?
Let me check.
No way.
Dude, that'd be hilarious.
If
he's on that list, then the rumors.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Holy hell.
Told it.
God, that guy. Poor guy, man.
Probably got hit by a raindrop. The humidity in New York.
Damn, dude. Already? Wow.
He went to, if you want to talk about cursed franchises, he went to the two most cursed franchises of all time. Like absolutely cursed to the gills. OBJ, that's not a shocking one either.
Yeah, I would have no interest in OBJ, by the way. Everyone who brings up OBJ's name, done with him. That's a
damn. That's crazy.
I don't know. Wow. Devontae Adams. Do they make a move for him now? The Jets make a move. If you're the Raiders, do you make that move? You got to keep Devontae Adams.
What's the asking price? What would you do? If you're the Raiders, what do you want in return?
At least 2 number ones. Dude, Aaron Rodgers is a 1-year deal. I'm asking for the moon.
Aaron Rodgers has that franchise by the balls, so that could actually happen. It's a joke. Yeah. It's like the Kevin Durant situation all over again. I'll really hope
Quentin Williams. Happens. You called it the other day. Quentin Williams is the guy.
Yeah, give me Quentin Williams for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, that's what you want.
The Raiders would have the best D-line in the NFL without a doubt. Do it. Obviously I want the Raiders to suck, but if the Jets are that dumb, do it.
Dude. I would aim high if I was the Raiders. I would make sure it's really, really hard for him, and just I'll just wait out and make sure Rodgers is pissed at you all to hell. But do the Jets really need him? Do they really, really need him? That'd be my thing.
They don't.
Is that a need or a want?
It's a want. If you're Josh nailed it. Aaron Rodgers controls the whole goddamn franchise.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Look, if you're management for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers goes, I want Devontae Adams. Dude, how much do you need? You have the best defense. You have the best defense in the NFL. You have Garrett Wilson, you have Mike Williams, you have Breece Hall, who's a really good running back. How much do you need? We brought you in here to lead this team. Like, what's going on here? Are you not good enough? That would be my question to him. Why don't you just shut up? Just go play. Go do your drugs in the offseason. Come back, perform on the field.
I can't wait to see what happens with that team so badly.
That's what we thought last year. It lasted 3 plays.
That was coming though. Like that's every year with a team like the Jets. Anytime you give them all the fame, you give them all the spotlight, here comes the devil. And it happened to him.
You know, by the way, about the Jets,
and by the way,
media guys are Jets fans. A ton of them. Ton of TV media guys are Jets fans.
Dude, it's the worst. For all their sports, right? We see the Knicks all the time. It's like, dude, enough of the Knicks.
Yeah,
see the Mets.
1973.
Oh my God.
Calm down.
Stop.
But 51
the
years.
East Coast bias is out of control. Out of control. You would have thought Jalen Brunson was Jesus Christ. Like, dude, enough.
Oh. I would love to sit on that for about 40 minutes. Jalen Brunson's a very good player. He's not a top 5 player in the NBA.
Not even
like
close.
Dude, every New Yorker just sits there and it's like they think he's Michael Jordan. I'm like, buddy, he's still a liability on the defensive side of the floor. Like, come on, guys.
All right. So obviously the Chargers again are training camp. We're gonna have some stories for you on Thursday, working on a guest as well as far as what's going on in training camp. But so some more Charger news we'll have for you. It's a couple things we held back on today. Again, if you're joining the show a little bit late, please subscribe, please like. We need all those. If we didn't get to your comments today, and I know we fired through a bunch of different topics, please add to them on YouTube. I'm able to get to all those, and I know the guys do the same thing, trying to respond to all your YouTube comments as well. But we appreciate, of course, you guys following Charger football. We're excited about it. Obviously, things have to go better. They're going to get better, and this is the beginning, starting today, of training camp. So we'll be back in 2 days. Again, Thursday, 1 o'clock Pacific time. Bolt Crew podcast for Mario Herron, Josh Palais. I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you in 2 days.